Alright, y'all, a quick little piece from Aperture. We talking therapy. I know a whole lot of people probably might have, their positive experiences off of therapy. But we are here gathered together, folks, to reveal, the dark side of therapy speak. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of therapy that can that can be proven to have worked 100% without any, I don't know, net negative side effects. You know what I'm saying? Let me put it that way. But for the most part, man, people have, recognized the negative side effects of this speak therapy. You know what I mean? And in this case, it's destroying your mind. What is this about, right? Let's hop in. Aperture.
Say something, you feel like shit don't matter, so beware the fun cutting. It's volumes of demise. I hear the sound buzzing, so when she said she wanna die, and he sees she ain't bluffing, so he held her to the skies. Cried sour momentum, passive with goodbyes. I'd rather you tell him, but now the truth is I've digressed from all the
Aperture. Again, I will say this. Mic check 1 2. Is we on? I think we are. I will say this. If any one of y'all are familiar with this channel right here, Aperture, man, W taste in content selection. Feel me? Because apparently, according to my to this channel right here, how therapy speak is destroying your mental health. Who expected that one? Right? That's why we gotta dump. Whoa. No, that's why we really got to jump into topics like this. I feel like it's really necessary. People be missing a whole lot of things that might have their journey toward, into therapy, like feeling janky, feeling weird. It's like, yo, I'm doing all this therapy, like, but what, why am I still in the same freaking spot? There's no progress in my little, you know what I'm saying, mental health journey and all that, right? Let's get to it.
There's a strange shift happening in the way that we talk about our emotions.
Sometimes you have to be a little disrespectful to show them just how respectful you've been.
Respecting your boundaries, that's not disrespectful.
Here's what happens in a toxic family.
On the surface, this sounds emotionally intelligent. But the tragic truth is that behind this polished vocabulary is something far more disturbing. These words that were designed to heal us are now being used in ways that confuse us, divide us, and sometimes even harm us tremendously.
If we're having a conversation and you start using your therapy vocabulary on me, you're canceled. I'm over it.
When did emotional...
Wait. Therapy vocabulary. That's a thing. That's literally a thing. Therapy vocabulary. I mean, look. Excuse me. I've had my moments of, attending therapy and things like this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me, like, the experience felt textbooky. You know what I mean? Somebody that's going through a script, somebody that's just like gotta ask necessary questions, obviously, to try and help me get to the bottom of what's going on with me. You know what I mean? But the process was just like literally that. There was no like humanization, so to speak, in it. There was no soul within the process, especially when it came to like, the therapist speaking to me. So that's just what it was. I never thought it was this whole vocabulary outside of that therapy room. You know what I mean? I didn't know it was a thing, like, to be like, yo, what? Wait, you're using that therapy language on me right now. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Intelligence become a competition.
Let me just say, I've never heard it. This is new to me. I don't know about y'all.
When did therapy concepts become a way to win arguments? And when did every normal conflict get labeled as abuse? How therapy speak is destroying your mental health. Before I get into any of the criticism, I do want to start with a bigger picture.
What's that?
Whenever someone points out the problems with therapy speak, people often react by assuming that it's an attack on therapy itself or on mental health awareness. I want to be abundantly clear. This is not the case. In fact, what society has achieved around mental health in the last few decades, in my humble opinion, is one of the most important social transformations of the modern era, and you can quote me saying that. There was a time, and not even that long ago, when talking about your mental health made you seem weak. Heck, even when I was going through high school, it seemed like a...
No, I will say that, you know, kind of like a negative connotation, you know what I'm saying, type of effect, because... you know, revealing what's wrong about you, like revealing what's wrong about you is literally gonna do that to other people. Reveal what's wrong about you. And obviously, you know, I don't know, yeah, I will go ahead and assume that, you know, we got this built-in or innate reaction to kind of just come off as clean as possible, you know what I'm saying, to other humans. I don't know, so that we can be able to go ahead and be taken seriously, you know what I'm saying? So that, you know, our self-preservation can just like, yeah, be validated. For some reason, but like, you know, the whole clean image, like, or at least decent, you know what I'm saying? Basically, the NPC version of you know what I'm saying? Like following the orders, being decent in public, having manners, things like that. You know what I mean? So now if you're gonna reveal some mental health, well, what is going on? It's the caffeine. Kids, don't take the caffeine early in the morning. It's like, okay, it's like 10 a.m., 10:41 right now. So yeah, it got my shit cooked. It got my brain cooked. Take a breath. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna go ahead and reveal a mental illness about yourself, it's like you kind of revealing an aspect to people, you know, for them to kind of dismiss, right? And that dismissal can just be in the front of smothering you. Oh, it's okay, yeah, you know, and then just dismiss you and not take you seriously, kind of. You feel me? Not take you serious. Oh, it's okay. Nah, he's just being himself. Nah, don't mind him. That time, you know what I'm saying? You might be saying some truthful shit. Hello, yay. Feel me? So I'm just saying, like, I feel like that was the whole thing that people were looking at in, you know, being reluctant in revealing what's wrong about their mental.
Taboo. Trauma
Big taboo,
was something people were expecting to bury. Depression was seen as laziness. Anxiety was being viewed as a character flaw. Therapy was for people who were considered mentally unstable, and everyone else was expected just to get on with things and suffer silently. If you were struggling, you were told to toughen up, stop complaining, and get over it.
Get over it.
And the landscape has changed dramatically in the late 20th century, especially with the introduction of the DSM-3 in 1980. That moment marked a turning point because mental disorders were finally standardized, categorized, and recognized in a way that doctors, courts, and institutions could document and understand. PTSD, which had existed throughout human history, became a legitimate diagnosis. Veterans who found it hard to reintegrate to society after their traumatic service were no longer dismissed as weak or broken. Survivors of trauma were no longer ignored or ridiculed. They finally had language, recognition, and support. And this is all to say...
isn't that like saying the world was finally sensitive to, you know, the harm or the damage or the side effects that have left, you know, veterans kind of insane, right? For lack of a better term. It's like people will finally like, ooh, I'm telling you, bro. Get enough sleep, cause yo, this is a bad look for me right now. I know, but please excuse that. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, people were finally just like seeing how, you know, these veterans were affected by things like the war and shit like that. They had to, yeah, like, encapsulate a whole kind of diagnoses about it, and obviously that had to open shit up to people learning about it, even in like school and shit, right? At least theoretically.
Medical labels, when used appropriately,
Yep.
are incredibly valuable. They act as informational shorthand that communicate seriousness. When a doctor gives someone a diagnosis,
What
it
happens?
protects that person. It communicates that they need care rather than judgment. A signal that says this person deserves support and understanding. As millennials and Gen Z grew up, something even more transformative occurred.
What happened?
These generations began talking about mental health even more openly. They rejected the old shame-based systems and forced society to adapt. Workplaces had to acknowledge burnout and employee well-being. Schools began offering counseling as a normal resource. Friends encouraged each other to seek therapy, and being in therapy became a sign of self-awareness rather than a moral failure or mental weakness. I don't want to overstate this, but I think it bears repeating. The destigmatization of mental health is one of the greatest achievements of our time.
Okay, break that down.
Real therapy, practiced by trained professionals, is not only helpful, but often life-saving.
Oh my God! Did you hear what he just pointed out? Right, real therapy, right? Real therapy. We talking about human to human kind of therapy, because there's aspects where it's like human has to connect to you to even, you know, resonate with the authenticity of what you're trying to relay, aka what you're trying to tell them what's wrong about them. There, you know, there's other aspects that just like, you know, need to be present for that to feel organic. So, for example, if you're gonna tell me what's wrong with me, at least relay it emotionally, so I understand it also from an emotional level instead of just like an intellectual level. You feel me? Like, for example. So, but then now with that being said, I like the fact that he pointed the fact that it's real therapy. Hello AI. Hello ChatGPT therapists. We see what, you know, where that kind of thing is going, or where, yeah, you know, technology's going to a point where once these kind of things are replaced, real therapy, oh my God, we can only imagine, like, you know what I mean, the level of real connection in terms of therapy and the authenticity of therapy.
Therapy speak, when used inside of its intended setting, just like medicine, is also a valuable tool. Words like boundary, trauma, attachment, and regulation help people navigate their emotions and communicate them much more effectively. But
what?
Something has happened along the way.
What's that?
Somewhere between the therapist's office and TikTok, between clinical journals and Instagram infographics,
talk about it.
The terminology escaped into the general population. What started as a precise and powerful vocabulary for healing slowly transformed into a cultural trend. The more widely the language spread, the more detached it became from its intended purpose. And once that happened, something that was designed to help people began to be used in ways that often do the opposite. And
begins to harm people.
This is where the real story begins. When clinical words used in therapy become therapy speak. The memification of therapy.
Okay.
Therapy, in its true form, is a slow process. It's built on trust, nuance, care, and patience. Ask anyone who's been to therapy and they'll tell you it takes a really long time to make progress.
It does. And, you know, I can actually reveal, like, that was one of the reasons why I ended up tapping out, because you know, I was kind of impatient in terms of getting to the, you know, to the bottom of things. That's why, okay, for me it kind of felt like textbooky, bro. You know what I mean? Because we also have to consider the fact that the person that's delivering the therapy, their expertise. You know what I'm saying? They're just heart put into this thing where it's not just like, yeah, I'm a qualified therapist or whatever. I'm just doing it for that, and the pay is good. You feel me? The pay is good. You feel me? Let's go. It's like there are those levels of just intentionality with what you're doing as a therapist. You know what I mean? I can say that they are therapists who, yeah, like you could sense their heart in it, and so therefore that kind of leads you to open up, take it seriously, so that you go ahead and have the patience to see it through until you reach your healing, right? Yeah, W. Looking for the coin there. You know what I mean? So, but with what I've experienced, bro, no, I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the kind of people that, like, I would say it's the kind of people that told me nothing different, versus what I had already told myself and concluded my own self about my own situations. Yes, I understood the fact that I ain't got a job was the fact that, it contributes to my depression. So what's the point of me like paying a therapist to tell me that same thing that I realized myself? You understand what I'm saying? So for me, it was like, yeah, there's that, and then there were situations or instances where I would see a therapist kind of trying to put the effort in and things like that. But yeah, that one just, with that therapist that kind of took things seriously, yeah, it, like, my whole journey into that kind of had to be cut abruptly. You know what I'm saying? Because of changed locations, etc. So I'm just saying though, it's like, hey, I've never gotten to a point where we reach like that, the point where therapy is working for me. You know what I mean? It was always like, it's kind of a waste of money. I'm not gonna lie. At that point,
It's not a quick fix, and it's not supposed to be.
yeah.
As a result, it does not translate well into platforms that reward speed, simplicity, and emotional impact.
Dopamine.
In an
Dopamine.
algorithmic world, nuance, it can't survive. What thrives are short, bold, oversimplified statements like, "Here are 5 signs you might have anxiety," or "a single behavior being labeled as evidence of a personality disorder," or a 20-second video claiming that people with avoidant attachment always behave in a specific way.
Oh shit.
These videos turn complex and nuanced psychological conditions into quick identity quizzes.
Yeah.
Viewers watch these clips, resonate with vague statements like, "sometimes I feel empty," and conclude that they must have a certain disorder. There's no clinical interview, no exploration of context, no differential diagnosis, and no professional oversight. It's psychology without the psychologist.
Yeah.
This is what many researchers describe as a flattening of nuance. Ideas that were originally designed for one-on-one discussions, guided by trained professionals, are being compressed into fast, digestible content.
Of course.
Concepts that took decades to study are being distilled into sound.
Like compacted into just like short form video formatted kind of, information vehicles. You know what I'm saying?
Bites meant to be scrolled past in seconds.
Oh.
The situation becomes even stranger when people begin using AI tools as...
There we go. My whole question was about to go into AI, and I did reveal, the whole AI thing, that now since we're going into a world where it's nothing but AI, you might as well just like ask ChatGPT what's going on with you. You know what I'm saying? So now, if people are scared about the fact that or if people are mad concerned at the fact that we seeing these therapeutic session kind of details being shared on like TikTok and shit. Imagine if you can just like ask Gemini what's wrong with you. And then having that as your like authentic diagnosis.
Makeshift therapists.
Makeshift
Users will
therapists.
give prompts that instruct the model to act as an emotionally supportive counselor. The model responds with compassionate language because that is what the user asked for, but there's no human context, no clinical
Yes.
reasoning, and no professional responsibility. The person feels heard, but they're not actually receiving any treatment. They're just receiving simulated empathy. And don't get me wrong, AI can be a helpful reflection tool similar to journaling. But using it as a replacement for therapy blurs very, very important boundaries. It creates the illusion of support without the structure or, more importantly, accountability that real mental health care requires. And all of this is contributing to a major cultural shift. Therapy language is no longer confined to therapy. It's everywhere. It's on TikTok, in group chats,
Yeah.
on dating profiles. It's in corporate memos, influencer captions, and even political debates.
And you know what's crazy? I feel like we are dead into the culture or into the world where people are selling courses doing these things, right? So absolutely expect somebody to sell you a course at the end of that soundbite, right? Or at the end of that TikTok video that just told you that no, you're schizophrenic because you see these 3 things in your dreams. 3-minute soundbite, gone. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, by the way, link is in the description. Buy my course. We're in that world, bro. You know what I mean? And now obviously when we're talking AI is gonna copy, it's gonna take these as the instructions of how therapy is delivered anyway. Now once AI gets its hands on this thing, it's like a battle of these corporate giants, and like the bigger giant is the one that's making more money out of, hey, maybe even falsely diagnosing motherfuckers off of mental illnesses. Bro, it could get really tricky, dog. I can see it getting really, really tricky really fast.
These words have been absorbed into the mainstream, but minus the very important context that gives them a usable meaning.
Yep.
And once therapy language became internet language, it also became a form of social currency. Using the right therapeutic buzzwords makes people sound emotionally intelligent. It signals that they're informed, and so it has become an aesthetic of intelligence and maturity.
Aesthetic.
But this begs the question,
What?
How did therapy speak go from almost being shunned by society to becoming not just popular in and of itself, but also making the speaker appear more valuable? The traumatic rise of therapy speak.
Wait. Now I feel like it just makes you sound smarter. You know what I'm saying? It just makes you sound smarter because now what's gonna happen? You're gonna go ahead and diagnose your friends. Yep. Tell your friends, no. They're not supposed to treat you like that. You're actually being abused. Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. My friend is intelligent. She just told me I got PTSD. Huh? Yeah, it makes you sound smart. Makes you sound intelligent. Makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. And so therefore, yeah, like therapy speak was born, right? The traumatic rise of therapy speak.
There are several reasons why.
Like the trauma talk, you know what I'm saying? Like the smother talk, you know what I mean? They're a narcissist, you know what I'm saying? You know, just based off of maybe these points that you've heard on TikTok. Oh no, he's abusive. Oh no, you know, I don't know. It's traumatic. It's toxic. Yo, red flags. Red flags. Right? I don't know. Drop more in the comments, bro. Or in the chat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like this is just my assumption of you know, the therapy terminology type shit.
Why therapy speak became so popular so
Let's hear it,
quickly.
though.
The first is what philosophers call, and I adore this phrase,
What's that?
epistemic authority.
Shit.
When you use clinical language like epistemic authority, you sound like you're appealing to an
Okay, no. I've never heard of this one. I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of this one.
objective truth. You sound like you are diagnosing something real.
That's what I'm saying.
You're no longer expressing an opinion, you're stating a fact.
Sounding smart.
Instead of saying, I don't like that behavior, you say, that behavior is toxic.
Toxic! Nah. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Round of applause. I got that one right. Let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? Toxic is one of them. Feel me? I think red flag too. Red flag might be another one of them. Let me see. Let's see. Go on, brother.
Instead of saying, oh, I'm really upset, you say, I'm triggered.
I'm triggered.
One version sounds subjective. because
Triggered,
it is.
yeah.
The other sounds definitive. It gives people a sense of credibility that, well, they might not actually have. The second reason is something that I prefer to call the aesthetics of intelligence. Using therapy language makes people feel enlightened. It makes them feel like they have a deeper understanding of themselves and others. It gives the speaker a sense of moral authority, as if using therapy buzzwords proves that they are emotionally sophisticated.
Yeah.
Even when somebody is simply expressing a personal preference, the language makes it sound like a clinical observation.
Okay.
It's like when people start using the French versions of words to sound more posh. You know, those words that have a certain je ne sais quoi to them.
What? Nah, brother. I'm like, yo, what did that mean, y'all? Drop that in the comments. What is that?
There's also what I like to call the HRification of intimacy.
What is that?
And I want to touch on this.
Do
by
that.
the way. It's random, but adding ification to words to create the derived version of that word is a brilliant linguistic move, if I can toot my own horn. It's something you can immediately understand without having to think twice. I'll rattle off a few. The Mr. Beastification.
Oh,
TikTok.
TikTokification. Yeah.
HRification. HRification.
HRification.
You just immediately get what I mean, even though those aren't really
Dark modification.
words, you know? Anyway, I digress. What was I? Oh, right. So, therapy speak makes personal relationships sound like workplace arguments. Instead of saying, I feel hurt when you do this, the person says, I no longer have the capacity to hold space for this interaction.
Oh.
The phrasing creates this.
Nah, but I'm not gonna lie, boys. Like, that should be like regular language. It should be regular language. Come on, bro. Y'all readers, right? Y'all be reading, right? Come on, bro. Like, that should be part of like the daily vocab. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out Kai Sinet. I know y'all follow through with him. How far is he with his reading? Right? Do what he's doing. I'm telling you. It should be regular language.
It's emotional distance. It takes a messy human moment and reframes it as a bureaucratic process. It provides a sense of safety because bureaucratic language feels a lot less vulnerable, and it allows someone to deliver criticism, rejection, or discomfort with the tone of a company memo. These factors combined make therapy speak incredibly tempting to use. It feels empowering. It makes us feel intelligent. It gives the illusion of clarity and professionalism.
Yep.
But this is also where problems start to crop up.
Where's that?
Because once this language spreads outside of therapy, people start applying it in situations where it does not belong. They use it to justify avoidance, to protect their ego, to control others, or to pathologize.
Oh, I think ego is another one. It's another one of those terms. Right? Ego. Big ego. You know? Ego, like, yeah. I get it.
Normal, everyday experiences.
Egotistical.
And that brings us to the central critique of this entire video.
What's that?
Therapy speak is no longer just a vocabulary. It's become something of a weapon. It's being used to win arguments, to avoid accountability and diagnose people who have done nothing more than annoy us. How therapy speak gets weaponized online. This is the heart of the issue.
Where is it?
Therapy speak, despite its helpful origins, has evolved into a tool that can distort reality, erode relationships, and undermine actual mental health care.
Yeah.
And it gets weaponized in several ways. First, you have the over-pathologizing of normal human emotions.
Okay.
One of the biggest problems is that therapy speak encourages us to pathologize feelings that are completely normal. Researchers like Alan Horwitz and Jerome Wakefield have warned about this for decades, actually.
What they say?
When ordinary sadness gets labeled as depression, or normal grief is described as a disorder, we begin to lose the ability to distinguish everyday emotions from clinical conditions. We're also losing the vocabulary for normal interpersonal conflict. Instead of saying, well, I don't get along with this person, people instantly label that person as toxic. Instead of saying that we disagree, they say that I'm being emotionally abused. The language escalates the situation and transforms.
Yeah, especially the abusive language, right? Oh no, it's so abusive. It's so this, that, and the third. I'm saying, especially like we see generations like Gen Z throw this around in terms of, you know, I mean, I'm at a place where, yeah, I did grow up with like corporal punishment. You know what I'm saying? Around me. You know what I mean? Where literally that, you know, belt to ass. Like in reality, belt to ass. I know these days, you know, it's used just loosely, you know, ambiguously. It's just, yeah, belt to ass, just as a you know, as something not real, like intangible. You know what I'm saying? Not something not literal. Yeah. So, you know, belt to ass shit, like I used to experience that shit. And so therefore, you know, a whole lot of Gen Zs would actually look at that kind of thing and be like, yo, we were being abused. You know what I'm saying? Even a whole lot of millennials. You know what I mean? Older ones too. Since, you know, we grew up when the internet like literally also got its wings and we were still like youngins. And we, you know, that transition happened while our minds were still kind of impressionable, still kind of like absorbing some shit, not fully developed. And so by the time, you know, the internet was out here and then you'd see these quotes of like, you were actually being abused. If you physically like, you know, kicked, you know, or slapped across the face as a kid. Yo, my fault. Yo. I didn't mean to re-trigger. Ooh. One of them buzzwords. Trigger. Feel me? I didn't mean to re-trigger people, you know, based off of their past experiences. But I'm just saying it's like, you know, a whole lot of the younger generations would see that as abuse again. So any form of just like being in conflict with somebody or whatever, all of a sudden you're being abused. It's like, or you know what I'm saying, just getting that belt to ass, even figuratively. You know what I'm saying? Being put in your place. Since you know, you be acting out of pocket and shit. But now all of a sudden you're being abused. Hey, and by the way, I'm not talking about no domestic situations, right? Like, I don't know what be going on in like people's relationships and things like that. So in those contexts, yo, abuse is abuse, man. Like, take that shit seriously. But still not right, so that's why I'm like, yo, take it seriously.
Forms a simple, everyday conflict into a moral or a psychological diagnosis. Another consequence is the medicalization of social problems. When people feel burnt out, they often describe it as an internal disorder rather than a reaction to external pressures like overwork, financial stress, or social inequality. And by framing everything as an individual issue, we're ignoring the systems that create these stressors in the first place. When everything is trauma, we miss the real causes of suffering, and we also strip the word trauma of its seriousness. Therapy speak also fuels a phenomenon psychologists call concept creep. Over time, psychological terms begin to expand in meaning until they cover milder and milder experiences.
Right.
Trauma no longer refers to life-threatening events. It becomes any situation that leaves you unpleasantly surprised. OCD no longer refers to a debilitating condition. It becomes a preference for cleanliness and organization. Every animal behavior research shows this pattern. The term canine aggression once referred to violent attacks, but over time, it has grown to include something as harmless as a small dog barking. This widening of definitions distorts our understanding of reality. If someone calls a bad boyfriend a narcissist, they are turning a specific set of behaviors into a fixed, pathological identity. If someone accuses their partner of gaslighting during a normal argument where one is just trying to defend themselves, they're framing a disagreement as intentional psychological abuse. The language encourages people to assume malice, where there might just be misunderstanding or, at worst, frustration.
Alright, cool. Quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with it.
Fat lady sings, I see the writing on the walls. I mean, back to the scene, cause it was pride before the fall, and now it's just